Admit it, the best part about crying isn't the release or the raw emotions, it's how freaking sexy your face looks after you're all done tearing up. Hey folks, welcome back to the news. Laci Green here. It's a phenomenon that the internet has so kindly coined as ugly crying. When you're so upset that your face gets all contorted and puffy and, ugly looking. But you know what? I refuse to call it ugly. Crying is beautiful-ish. Okay, it's a little ugly sometimes. Funny thing about crying is that there's actually a pretty big gender gap. Women are much more likely to let themselves cry than men, clocking in an average of 47 cries per year, while men only cry about 7 times per year. I actually feel kind of bad for dudes. Crying feels good. Why aren't boys crying more? There's a lot of complicated reasons, but basically it's a different psychologists have repeatedly linked to cultural norms. How you're allowed to express your feelings differs based on your gender. For instance, as a culture, we find it more acceptable for men to deal with their angry emotions by getting into physical fights. While the gender divides in crying are better understood, why we cry and what exactly triggers it varies from person to person and situation to situation. But the universal experience of ugly crying can be traced back to simple anatomy. In order to produce tears, the lacrimal glands in your eyes have to get to work. Tear fluid is produced with the help of blood, which comes through thick and fast when the blood vessels in your eyes dilate. Normally you can't see those vessels, but when they widen up, you can tell they're there all right. All those tiny little vessels swelling up to produce your tears make your eyes look bloodshot. But what about the puffy eyes? This happens because if you've ever had the absolute pleasure of tasting your own tears, you'll notice that they're really salty. The salt causes water retention around your eyes, causing them to puff up. Salt isn't the cause for your entire face becoming a puffy, bloated mess, however. The reason for that is actually a little bit more complicated. It comes down to your fight or flight system. This is part of the sympathetic nervous system that's activated when your body's under stress. So when you're angry, when you're scared or threatened, your pupils dilate and adrenaline flows, causing your heart rate to increase. Crying is basically the same, especially if you're holding your breath a little and not breathing steadily. It causes blood to pump into your face, straining your muscles and making your face all red and puffy. So add a nice smattering of snot mixed in with tears and drool, and well, you're a masterpiece, baby. Thanks for joining me for D-News, everyone. Are you an ugly crier? Tell me about it down below, and we'll see you next time with more science updates.